Do cat girl VTubers go to the same rescue center as furries? I cannot answer that question. I'm a fox girl. Alright. I'm gonna let Mr. Seth cook. I'm ready. Songs of Six review, deranged edition. Just like me. For real, for real.
What is the worth of a human life?
Mogging. Mogging on someone else. That is the worth of the human life.
Can't give you that answer, but I can tell you the worth of an elvish life. 62 meat and 17
It's less of that than a dwarf.
leather once you really peel them down. Hey people, Seth here. Despite doing this for several years, I have never figured out how to use a microphone, and for this, I sincerely apologize. Songs of Six is an ambitiously made, self-styled city-state simulator.
This is really tickling my RimWorld brain right now. This looks really good.
Developed for the better part of 7 years. Now, imagine you start playing the game, and naturally, you play the tutorial. I imagine most people do. The difference, however, is that over 100 hours later, I am still on the tutorial. This is the story of
No, you're trolling.
Jackaton, the default starting location for the tutorial, which is named after the developer. We have no mountains, no natural resources.
Wait, what was his? Is he Finnish? Oh, that's why this game is so schizo.
On the tutorial. This is the story of Jackaton, the default starting location for the tutorial, which is named
Jak Carlson Anderson. Oh no, it's Swedish. Okay, he's Swedish.
After the developer. We have no mountains, no natural resources, a sprinkle of trees, a small lake, and generally nothing. We're sandwiched between four neighbors, the city-states of Tegenval and Sluva, and the empires of Starless and Ulisu. In a word, it's not looking very good for us. In the beginning, you start with a couple dozen citizens and a dream of something greater. Unfortunately, we are Crotonians. These are peaceful, vegetarian pigmen with no
I thought they were orcs.
aspirations beyond slumming in the dirt and farming crops. But for all
and using their own poop as fertilizer. That is efficiency.
our purposes, they're perfect. And I quickly started an agricultural operation. It's not much, but at least we're not starving. Grain has to be processed by a bakery, while fruit and vegetables can be eaten directly. Regrettably, instead of a fruit farm, I started an orchard. I did this on the promise that it's a slow operation with twice the potential yield. To this day, it has produced no fruit, because by the time the fruit trees mature, I get a worm infestation and have to chop them all down. Citizens typically prefer locals over immigrants, and
Classic. He's probably turned up the difficulty till 11, knowing how Seth is.
the only way to increase the local population is by having children at the local nursery. In this game, a year is 16 days, and each 4 days is a season. A baby becomes a child, and a child becomes eligible for labor at 4 years of age. Songs of Six encourages the miracle of childbirth with the economic miracle of child labor. Also, after my pigman accidentally snacked on all the vegetables in the nursery crib, I can confidently tell you, infant mortality has no effect on the happiness of your population. But you know what has an effect on my happiness? Getting paid to plaster my walls with illustrations of naked women. Hang on, guys. This wall, it's so barren, so dull, so lifeless. Luckily, today's sponsor is Displate. Displate is a unique metal poster designed to capture all your passions. Whether
I cannot appreciate Seth enough for blurring the asses.
they be
My
Elden
virgin
Ring,
eyes
Star
cannot
Wars,
handle this.
Warhammer, or Call of Duty. Displate has over 2 million
Call of
artworks
Duty.
across hundreds of brands. If you know me, you'll know I love my Displates more than any lame paper poster. But what if they could be even better? You see, I can only look at my normal posters. That's a problem. And the solution is Textra, Displate's brand new tactile poster collection. Now I can run my fingers along my precious Displates and really feel those tactile
The stock hand!
textures, 3D contours, and selective matte and gloss effects. And of course, it makes them look even cooler. The new texture finish will be available on hundreds of the best-selling Displates, and Displate looks forward to expanding the library of Displate textures in the following months. So, what are you waiting for? Go to displate.com/Seth and check out the selected designs that you can now get with a new Textra finish. Transform your walls today with Textra. And thank you to Displate for sponsoring this video. Your city lives and dies on happiness. If you fail to keep your your citizens happy, you'll start a failure cascade that ends in ruin. The simulation goes down to each individual citizen and measures the average fulfillment of their needs and desires for that particular race. Race is an interesting topic. Some races don't get along. Some races
Oh no, racism in my video game? Unbelievable.
are predisposed to crime.
Cancelled.
Some races control our educational sector, our labs, and our academia. But what else am I supposed to do when everyone else hates education? I'm talking, of course, about none other than humans. Humans are troublesome, criminal.
What is that, dude?
I'm talking, of course, about none other than humans.
His mom is taking the picture. What a nice mom.
Humans are
Holy moly! Look at that bakery!
troublesome, criminal, and have a low sanity score of any race, which means an essential component of any healthy
They
human
go
population
crazy.
is an asylum. But they
Nice.
heckin' love science, which is important.
Man, it was a mistake that we in the world have actually closed down a lot of asylums. I think we should bring them back.
Because this game handles research
In real
a
life.
unique fashion. You don't just learn something. No, you research it, and then you have to pass on that generational knowledge across time. Remember, we don't start with paper.
What?
We get to that point after multiple generations of oral tradition. And even then, we have to maintain and preserve our existing knowledge against entropy. Almost every other race dislikes intellectualism and prefers to be indoctrinated. This is advantageous as it fosters loyalty in the absence of happiness. An open mind is an open bussy, its gates unbarred and unguarded. Some might argue that great men are made, not born. In the case of Dondorians, that is literally true, because they appear as fully formed adults at the base of a mountain. For this reason, the only way to get Dondorians is by immigration. They're good at mining, they're good at
Those damn migrants!
Minecraft, they're basically dwarves. Vitalapi are forest-dwelling elves. They're good with trees and they're good with nature.
Dude, he's mogging so
Basically
hard.
dwarves. Vitalapi are forest-dwelling elves.
Bye bye. Bow, bow, bow. Bye bye.
They're good with trees and they're good with nature. What else? They're also known for violating human men for several days before they cannibalize them. Bizarre.
Who made this game?
This makes them compatible with a cave-dwelling Garfimi, who are effectively bugmen. What they lack in skill, they make up for with raw numbers. And there's nothing bugs enjoy more than plucking limbs from the other
Those frickin' bugs!
races. And while most cities will have a mixed population, some races don't get along with anyone. Viamevia are coastal-dwelling lizard men. They're uniquely xenophobic
Those frickin' Argonians, man.
and incompatible with other races, which is offset by their impressive physique and high lifespan. If you want a true monocultural isolation
Chador Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg!
experience, try the lizards. Finally, there are two giant races you can't normally get. The in-lore explanation is that their populations have been decimated over the course of several great wars. If you control a region containing a haven and satisfy their high demands, they can be convinced to join your cause. While they have many
Nice.
differences, they do share a common trait. They're fucking gigantic and make for the best shock troops in the entire game. There's a bit of an
Let's
irony
go.
in the sense that they're incredibly rare and almost extinct, and the best thing they're good at is getting even more extinct. The Argonauts
Yeah.
are spider leviathans with a voracious appetite. They don't care for anything except food, which may sound simple until you realize the logistical nightmare of providing 4 meals a day to every person on the map. The Cantors may ask for more up front, but they're easier to satisfy. Generally. Once, I arrested 2 people at the same time, but only had 1 courtroom. One of the 2 arrested thieves had no legal representation. They considered this a complete breakdown of my legal system and left in disgust. But at the time, I knew none of this. I was a young blood, desperate to turn a profit and expand my settlement.
I've had this happen so many times. I had a massive colony in a RimWorld, and I could not figure out what happened to my my colonists. I just didn't know what happened, and then I loaded back like 5 days backwards to try and figure out what happened, and I figured out they left the colony because of something happened. I was like, hell.
YouTubers are a prime example of making the most amount of money with the least amount of skill and intellect. In a fair
True.
society, these are the people who should be
Masochist.
toiling in the coal
This
mine.
game seems sweet lol. When you doing a playthrough, Lana?
I don't know. know. I'm probably not smart enough to figure it out. Maybe someday.
And dying of black lung. Appropriately, I simulated this by importing Garfimi slaves and renaming them.
I also don't know if this is even a good streaming game. I'm gonna be honest, guys.
My favorite content creators. I invested so much into this coal mining operation only to find out I've spent several in-game years for a tar pit with 30% efficiency. It wasn't just unprofitable, but because of the size and scale, the cost of maintenance alone sent me into the red. On the other hand, I found out slavery is actually quite well received, as my citizens enjoy a slave population so long as it's not their own. My settlement grew, and unfortunately,
of course,
crime had become an issue. Another day, another flashing. The people lived in fear. Arrests had to be made, but because I spread myself so thin, I didn't have the resources or manpower to enforce it. And so, the public indecency continued until I increased my coverage. And after the prison started filling up, I am forced to make a difficult statement. Dundorians are sex pests. Of the 5 indecent exposers, all 5 have been dwarves.
Why do they look like they've got poop covering their faces, man? Is that, like, part of the game?
I have no further comment. At this point, I was earning capital by exporting furniture. This game doesn't have a fixed economy. Trade prices fluctuate and work on the rules of supply and demand. Basically, if you can make your own, that's strongly encouraged. If you have excess to sell off, that's good too, but overtrading a commodity can apply disproportionate pressure on the value, which is minimized by the number of trade partners. So, if you want money, you better diversify. But if you don't, poverty also has its advantages. If our treasury is empty and we're dead broke, guess what? Our diplomatic gifts mean a whole lot more.
Is that a CBT cage? Is that a CBT cage?
Which is important because if our reputation drops to 0 with any of the 4 factions bordering us, we're getting invaded. And with a current standing army of 0 men, I don't fancy my chances. So I would intentionally dip my savings into the red, plead, cry, and defecate in front of my neighbors, and a pathetic display made me an unattractive target for assault. I would reputation farm into the multiple thousands so I could reliably forget about it for the next dozen years, while enjoying the benefits of almost 0 taxation on all trade. This gave me a lot of time to experiment and figure out what I'm doing. Firstly, I tried mining gemstone. Subsequently, I failed at mining gemstone. Instead, I used the natural fertility of Jacketon and turned it into an opium plantation. I still had a lot of Garfimi slaves left over and put them to work in fields of poppies and cotton. However, I got overly ambitious and my bugs got a little rowdy. There is no other situation where the following words can be said. The cotton pickers are having another uprising. Subsequently, we abolished the practice. Not on moral grounds, but because they robbed my throne and took just about everything. Happiness was at an all-time low among my Dundorians, so I tried producing alcohol and opened a tavern. Demand outstripped supply. Access was terrible and supplies were so low that it just made them angrier. So I tried satisfying food preference instead. Mushrooms, fish, complex proteins. Then I restricted everyone to just eating bread and they were happier. Additionally, I tried introducing fine dining in the form of
now that is problem solving. I would have never thought of that.
Restaurants, and almost lost the game to a public riot. Not only did I fail to meet supply, but each time I did so, a citizen would starve, spiraling into a vicious loop. Their desire for the Mick menu was so strong that it overrode their survival.
Oh my god, man. Oh my lord. I keep getting these TikToks of Indian food stalls recommended in my videos. Oh my god. The things I've seen. And it's not just one TikTok. It's like hundreds where they scoop everything with their hands and then they like mix things with their hands and then put it in a plastic bag. I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Survival instinct to eat street food, preferring instead the embrace of death. This was not a plague of famine. It was a plague of choice. After the many lessons learned, alcohol is haram, cooking is forbidden, and our entire food pyramid is bread.
Oh my god, he's stomping the food with the bread. I know exactly what that is, too.
I did make a breakthrough in citizen satisfaction. It turns out that when I select and look at a random peasant, they are not meant to be caked in shit, and only.
So he noticed it too. Okay.
After building bathhouses 40 hours into the game, did I make that connection around this?
Wait, that's actually intentional. I thought that was like, I don't know, a stylistic choice.
I also realized after reading the tooltip the reason for my insane cost of maintenance. You see, buildings have walls. Walls increase isolation. I did not build any walls. Do I have to rebuild my entire city? Yes, I did. I rebuilt the whole thing. And I learned to love city planning. Building design is incredibly fun, and there's no greater satisfaction than having an elegantly designed lavatory for optimal shitting, pissing, and sharding. In the end, you take so much pride in what you've built. Am I
Man, I really want to play this game now.
coping? Yes, absolutely. But after numerous trials and tribulations, I had a stable, diversified...
Imagine an entire city without walls. Yeah, I was about to say, this game seems kind of hard if he can't micromanage it enough. Like, Seth is kind of like a autistic expert at these games.
economy and a series of shacks resembling civilization. Also, I
That was Asmon's shack.
promoted a 4-year-old to become nobility. Because it's funny, nobles provide a variety of beneficial effects, and currently they're a work in progress. Or, as the developer translated to me, they cannot betray you yet. Everything was calm and peaceful until we found a Kryptonian with his eyes scooped out. On the body was a note, signed Jake the Invincible, claiming that he's saving lives by returning them to his forgotten god. Our city had a serial killer. Another day, another victim.
Dude, that's amazing! It's just like we're alive!
Found dead. Eye sockets empty. Every victim was a Kryptonian, and this was clearly a racist attack. Targeted crime. Terror ruled the streets, and we had no leads. It wasn't until
what if it was one of their own?
A passerby claimed to see a Kryptonian woman fleeing the scene. This information didn't add up, but we tortured a confession out of them, and they pleaded guilty to all crimes. The serial killings promptly stopped. Jake the Invincible was identified to be a middle-aged Kryptonian woman predating on her own people. We
Damn! I called it!
Sent the killer into the arena to be chopped into pieces for the spectacle of a crowd.
Nice.
We gave their body as much respect as it deserved. We pissed on it and dumped it into a mass grave. Serial killings...
Wait, you can pee and poo on them?
...are rare, and they're not often so straightforward. You might get the wrong guy and torture out a false confession, or the trail simply goes cold from lack of evidence. Eventually, beyond exports and fields of opium, I found the most lucrative source of cash. I would intentionally reduce my army down to 0 to try and entice rebels to attack my city. The moment this happens, I hire mercenaries, crush the invaders, and sell off their loot for fat stacks. This sent me from borderline broke to $500,000 in the bag. Now, hiring mercenaries is incredibly expensive. Paying them is even more expensive, but they handle their own supplies and they're instantaneous. I use them to conquer a neutral region, and as I did, my brain expanded and my neurons started firing because suddenly I can hire more. For each region under my control,
he's basically Venice now.
I get access to 5 extra mercenary companies. So I hatched a plan. Take all my money, raise an army of mercenaries, and conquer Winsta, the weakest nation I could find nearby. With each city taken, my numbers increased, eventually laying siege to their capital. I sold everything to keep those mercenaries paid. I almost ran out of money. If that siege lasted a day longer than it did, I would have lost. But in the end, it was worth it, because I reached the max limit of mercenary companies, and I could now recruit enough men to overpower anyone. Problem is, they're asking for $750K up front, with a daily fee of $100K. Soldiers of fortune have a steep asking price, but what if the Golden Horde could pay for itself? I've been on the back foot of negotiations, pleading and groveling to my neighbors for mercy, until now. Selling my spoils, I muster a short-lived but massive army, declare war, intercept their army, and immediately sue for peace, to which they have no option but to accept my favorable terms. The best part about shotgun diplomacy is you already know the answer each time, because once they surrender, we do it again until we empty their entire
I swear Seth is an evil mastermind, man. You put this guy behind an actual army, he would conquer, like, the eastern half of Europe.
treasury. Unknowingly, they just paid for their own demise.
Nah, he's smart. No, he's an evil mastermind. Let me live my headcanon.
century of humiliation was over as Ssethtzeentach turned on their allies. No longer will I be extorted each time it's their nephew's birthday. Takenval and Sleva were too small to resist.
Take their
the elvish
things.
empire of Starless to the north was a different story, but led to the development of strategies I'd replicate going forward. Economic hyperwar is the act of manipulating the enemy to take decisions that are numerically beneficial while destroying them internally. We invade cities, sell them back to the enemy, only to invade them again. Then we use them as bartering chips for other cities. Take control of those cities, demolish the walls, and advance our front line. We remove the need for extended siege and reduce the enemy to a single fight. There was only one exception to this. As luck would have it, the human empire of Ulisu to the south.
Are you enjoying the goon sesh? Re-harden your cock. You'll love the next hour. It's a mogging Trump picture.
South had the largest standing army in the world. Even if I recruited
amazing.
every mercenary, I would still be outnumbered 2 to 1. So I drained his treasury and I waited. Eventually, he could no longer afford to maintain his army and fell like the rest of them. Ssethtzeentach lives by a simple proverb: feed the earth and it will feed you. But we fed the earth so much that nature herself is vomiting up red. There's too many prisoners of war and not enough mass graves to go around.
Oh my god!
The rest is morbid history as I took the rest of the map. Ssethtzeentach is now the single state empire of the world. Resources are limitless, currency is infinite, for we possess an infinite money printer, the design of which is as follows. I form a
It's just like America in real life.
puppet state, declare war on them, take all their money from a peace treaty, invade them anyway, and install a new puppet to repeat the process. I have, in every sense, completely rigged the system, but like Sisyphus reaching the top of a mountain, I had nothing left to struggle against, and so too did I lose my interest.
He's playing Dragon's Dog when he threw Asmon. And he's in a little thong. In a little cloth thong.
So, I made a royal decree to arrest everyone. If you're ever interested in ending the game, just click prosecute on your main population. Guards start arresting citizens, then they arrest other guards before being arrested themselves. Prison wardens get jailed and break out of their own prisons. Chaos and pandemonium rule the day as everyone turns on each other and eventually
That's amazing.
they turn on me. In summary, Songs of Six has a very expansive, detailed, and enjoyable tutorial. At 160 hours of playtime, I can't wait to play the actual game. This may not take the spot for Game of the Year, as
He spent 160 hours playing the tutorial.
we all know that's reserved for Churn Vector, but it's a very close second. The graphics, the changing of seasons, the music, the scale of the simulation. Considering this is written in Java, I have no
Oh my god, the horror. This guy wrote it in Java.
words. There's no other game where the line between city builder and sociopathy is so
Horrifying.
blurred. To demonstrate this, for my second playthrough as the Garfimi, I proposed a novel form of meat production. It's less of a ranch or a pasture, and more of a tilapia nursery. For reference, at a consumption rate of half an apple a day, a fully grown tilapia child costs us 32 apples, but gives us twice that amount in meat and leather. And once
Child cannibalism.
they're adults,
Oof.
we
Gulp.
arrest, execute, and butcher them. The tilapia child to tilapia soup pipeline is highly effective. And
Gulp.
while my humans don't agree with cannibalism because they're bigoted chuds that can't grasp the richness of Garfimi culture, their stomachs can't complain. So, what have we learned today? 1. Prisoners are the ultimate cash crop. Labor is a resource, and so are they. 2. Look past people and their differences, and see them instead as a source of protein. 3. Much like real life, retirement is economically unfeasible and exists only as a carrot and stick to motivate the working class. I give this game my highest recommendation. I give it no days of food out of we're about to starve. And because it's mainly one guy and not a corporate entity,
It's time or else soon enough. I'm releasing the video on Songs of Six on April 16th. Is that enough time for you to get a sale starting from that date on BoJoG? I will pre-order some Teslas. Yes, I'll try to set it up on Steam then. 20% is good. Wow! Wow, Seth making bags for this guy.
I can just ask for a sale. If you're interested, it's 20% off on GOG and Steam for the rest of April. The first 100 to use the link win a free chemical castration or prefrontal lobotomy. Terms and conditions may apply. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild.
Holy crap.
And bankrolling these videos. You're all truly wonderful. Have a good one.
That's insane, dude. By the way, the ending credits are 2.5 minutes long. I'm gonna play them. Yo, that's so good, man. That's long. Yeah, it is. Claptures chat. That was a great video, man. Yeah, it's like RimWorld and Dwarf Fortress had a baby, essentially. Very good. Very nice. And it's made by one guy on Java. That's the most horrifying part. Very nice. And then ate that baby. I mean, you can eat people in RimWorld. I don't know about Dwarf Fortress. Ange! You guys are getting Ange. Alana, did Blizzard give you priority? Wow,
Massive
alpha access. Fuck no, man. I don't play that game. Jesus. Sana, thank you for the 10 gifted. You are insane. Thank you so much. I hope solo dev autism games never stop being a thing. I don't think they will. I don't think so. Steam and GOG are really good. For keeping up like indie devs and stuff. You act like she plays video games. I wouldn't. I don't like. I don't play retail. That's a lot of patrons. Yeah. Good. Out of respect for the patrons, I will keep it rolling. 20% off. It's 20%, I believe. Yes, 20. I don't know, I just like the look of the game. It doesn't have walls. I can't believe this guy. He is so smart and he didn't have walls for his first 20 hours in the game. Wow. The little sounds remind me of Age of Empires. Boom, boom, boom. Shing, shing, shing. A little dining hall. Wow, look at those fields. Aw. Aw, little cannibalism never hurt anyone. Fiend! Wow! Very nice! Very good. Clamp. Give it another round of applause.